Look at Emirates Team New Zealand. Yahoo! They are off.
Look at them ride, everybody at the back of the boat. This is amazing racing. They are flying.
This is what we saw in Cartagena, where Team New Zealand just submarines from time to time.
Well, there's
the contrast actually with Matador sailing with their bow much further out the water and a little bit quicker. But
do you think this guy
hang on, Richard Meacham. I think he might be a little on the damp side.
This is the World on Water for May 22, 2020. Here are the highlights of what happened last week around the world on the World on Water. First off, it's the Audi Med Cup in Cascais in 2010. Emirates Team New Zealand, their TP52. Last Sunday, Emirates Team New Zealand, along with the Team New Zealand Olympic team, took to the waters. Peter Shipway of CYCA TV last week spoke to Grant Simmer, the GM of INEOS Team UK. In the 52 Super Series, Andi Robertsonof talks to Russ Halcrow from Platoon. Our two America's Cup experts, Vittorio and Pietro, talk about Rossa and their rearing up on their AC75. Now it's over to Cascais.
Look at Emirates Team New Zealand. Yahoo! They are off.
Look at them ride, everybody at the back of the boat. This is amazing racing. They are flying.
This is what we saw in Cartagena, where Team New Zealand just submarines from time to time.
Well, there's
the contrast actually with Matador sailing with their bow much further out the water and a little bit quicker. But
do you think this guy
hang on, Richard Meacham. I think he might be a little on the damp side. Now this is where you get the position where there's Dean Barker, he's got Ray Davies behind him. Now Ray Davies has been acting as a backstop for him because, you know, here's Dean. Well, I remember talking to him after Cartagena when it was like this last year, the greatest day's racing he ever had. And here they are.
Look at the crew at the back there. I mean, Ray Davies is just talking to Dean Barker saying, here's a path, be careful, you know, talking about the wind coming, but look at Emirates Team New Zealand, they're really off. That's it.
They're hauling in Team Origin all the time.
That's Emirates Team New Zealand at its best, no doubt. Know that they love these conditions, these boys.
This is something we've been trying to do for quite a while, but we've had to sort of wait with the lockdown. But it's basically just a fun sailing day, right from everyone at the Olympics to New Zealand sailing team, youth sailors, and then pretty much the whole sailing team from Emirates Team New Zealand. So it's a real good group of people, and it's just yeah, good atmosphere. Looking forward to getting out and having some fun.
Nothing wrong with leaving early, mate.
I'm not sure which way the sail goes, but we're putting the small end of the triangle to the top. It's fantastic, and it's good to do it with all the young guys and the Olympians and all sorts. So we've got a real mix today, so it's good for everyone actually. So looking forward to it.
First race, first win, got to be happy with that. Good taste of getting out on the water and sailing with some, you know, professional sailors and learning lots while on there, so it's bloody good. To be able to go on these and actually learn some of the basics and actually be under the pump and this kind of sailing, not, you know, America's Cup sailing, it's pretty cool.
Definitely bloody good fun out here to get, you know, the Emirates Team New Zealand guys and the New Zealand sailing team. You know, we would have probably been in Europe by now, having done a few events, so we're just trying to, you know, find ways to keep sailing, keep racing, and keep enjoying it, really. Took us out of that start, so it wasn't ideal.
It was an amazing day. All the New Zealand yachting is fine. It's a fantastic setup. We're happy to come away with a win on our boat, and I had a small, very, very small part to play. I was on the bow, but I think full credit goes to Andy Maloney's younger sister, Alex, who cleaned up. She had a blinder, so full credit.
I'm delighted to say that our guest tonight is Grant Simmer, someone who we know very, very well. He joined the CYC in 1987 and last year was inducted into the CYC Hall of Fame. But his sailing record is stellar. There's no doubt about that. And it's primarily based around the America's Cup, it's fair to say. Not only a winner on the water, but a winner off the water in his management and designing roles. And we go back to 1983, of course, when he was navigator on Australia 2 and that famous victory in Newport, Rhode Island. But there's been books written, stories told about the 83 Cup when we won. And, you know, it'll go down as one of the great days in Australian history, not only sport. But just gives an overview of that last race, the last leg. You know, you went round the final leeward mark in front and then just had to waddle your way up to the finish. What was the atmosphere like on the boat? Was it tense, relaxed? Did you know you had it won, or just talk us through that?
Oh, it was tense.
I think Huey's listening as well, so you better be careful here.
No, Huey was he was in his element, actually. Yeah. Like, and there was a lot of tacks up that beat, and we weren't. Australia 2 was a good boat attacking, but we weren't particularly faster than them. So we ended up with, you know, just matching him in the classic match racing style. And we actually ended up into the spectator fleet off to the right of the finishing line. And I'm going to Huey, we can lay, Huey, we can lay from here. You know? Huey's going, oh, fuck that. we just keep hammering them, you know.
Yeah.
And eventually he gave in and we kind of reached to the finish. But yeah, it was actually really cool on board. It was surprisingly, but don't forget we'd been ready to lose. You know, we could have lost a couple of days before that.
Yeah, sure.
You know, it was 3-1 for several days. And it had gone on for a long time. So it was the first time really that the Americans were facing defeat that day.
Yeah. And I think you probably didn't realise the impact it had at the time back here. I mean, it was just unbelievable, the scenes back here.
Yeah. It's actually, we didn't realise. Warren Jones, who was our manager, is a fantastic guy. Fantastic. He sort of said, oh, we don't need newspapers in the crew house. And, you know, he just kind of, we were just happily riding our bikes down to the base and going out sailing every day and a bit oblivious to it.
Yeah.
And John always had to front up to the press conferences, which was bloody hard work, you know, getting hammered in the press conference every night. So it was taking its toll on him as it would for anyone, really.
Sure. Yeah. I remember Jim Hardy always said, don't read the newspaper because you're making the news. You know what's happened. You don't need someone else to tell you what might have happened because you know what happened. And that's what happens, isn't it? That's
Sir James is full of wisdom, mate.
Yes, he still is. So we're back. We won the America's Cup. You're back home. And then North Sails appeared on the horizon. Tell us how that all came about with you and Michael Coxon.
Tom Schnackenberg said, there's an opportunity. He rang me and said, there's an opportunity and maybe you should think about doing this. We'd come back from the Cup. I was working in North Sydney as a consulting engineer again. And I sort of, John Marshall then called me, he was the current president of North Sails. And Dave Forbes, he got involved and said, oh, you know, you should think about doing this. And I hadn't even met Coco, had never met Coco. So we go down there and meet Coco, and the two of us were sort of not getting on that well at first, you know, sort of thrust together. And, you know, ultimately we ended up being great mates. And that was a fantastic business, incredibly successful over the years.
I now want to talk about the 2013 America's Cup on San Francisco Bay. I mean, in sport, not alone yachting, in sport, it was one of the great comebacks of all time. I mean, it was first to win 9 races, and it was you against the New Zealanders. and the New Zealanders were leading 8-1.
Yeah.
So they had to win one more race. You had to win another 8. And in one race, where they looked as though they were going to win, the time limit ran out. So it looked easy peasy that, one more race and they were home. But somehow you guys dragged it back and you won. What happened? How did that occur?
Well,
we saw it happening, but you must have done something.
Well, yeah, we'd had a couple of things happen that we'd been beat up as a team. We had a big capsize with the first boat, massive capsize, and we got washed. We couldn't tow it. It was on it was on its side, and we couldn't tow it. And the tide was running that strong that we got swept out under the bridge. And then we're out into the Pacific, right? The tide's still going out. Blokes in the water trying to fix things and tow ropes, and then eventually the wing broke and we busted one of the beams, and we could only come back that night towing the boat in at about 3 knots, but we basically only got back in because the tide changed, but that took us months to fix all that, and so as a team we'd kind of been beat up. And then we were building the second boat, and meanwhile we saw the Kiwis had figured out they could get the boats to foil, and they originally the rule was intended not for foiling, and then we saw them foiling, and it was clear we had to do that. So we're scrambling building foils that we could foil on, and we could only foil downwind. And then we were learning to do foiling jibes, all taking the lead from the Kiwis. But our boat was configured such that we could actually, and it was a bit to do with the aerodynamics of the platform, that as we got better at foiling, we could foil upwind. And we had to reconfigure the wing so to reduce center of effort, increase more power in the bottom of the wing. And during the Cup, we started to foil consistently upwind, and the Kiwis couldn't. So suddenly we're a lot faster upwind. And we literally had to win 9 races straight. I think it was 8 or 9 straight.
8, I think, yeah.
Yeah. And Jimmy and the boys were bloody solid, eh? And slingers. Jimmy, slingers. And then John Kostecki was the tactician.
Yeah.
And Larry made us change, so we put Ben on as the tactician, and that was a good change, but it was kind of not that JK is a great tactician, but it was a change that meant, hey guys, we're going down unless we do something dramatic here, and so we did that, and we had bits breaking every day, and we just hung it together, and it went on and won. And it was, to be fair to the Kiwis, must have been bloody heartbreaking to go down from such a big lead.
Hi, I'm Ross Halcrow, known as Roscoe, jib trimmer on Platoon.
So Ross, you're a Volvo Ocean Race winner, 3 times TP52 World Champion, and a double winner of the America's Cup as a trimmer. Anyway, let's have a look at the start video. I think we can pick up the commentary maybe around about a minute before the start. It starts to get interesting.
Okay, here we are. Somewhere around a minute before the start. It's me trimming on with a winch there. We're just looking for a position. We've got our position on the line. It's about controlling the position. And there's boats to leeward of us that we can't see. You can see the boats to weather. So we're trying to get a good position off the line, be as close to the boats to windward as possible, and give ourselves as much room on the boats to leeward as we can. So we've got to bow down here down. We're coming down, so there's a chance that someone could be on port tack, so we're closing a bit of room to them. And coming back up again. So the other, we're doing, this is a double tack here. Quick double tack. So we obviously, there's a boat coming on the other side, so we close it up and we tack to get up to close the gauge on the windward boats. There was enough room there. And now we're tacking back again here onto starboard. You got quantum to weather. They're taking, after we tack, they're taking a big bite up to weather to try and create gauge away from us so they can hold their lane off the starting line. Looks like we're getting ready for, this is the final trim up now. I'll put the sheet of the winch. Pepe's going up. He's my pitman. He's hiking. I'm doing the final trim up here. Looks like the gun is probably about now. So we're trimmed up. I'm just giving the sail a little more twist and a little more trim up, and out on the rail. And quantum just to wither of us. Here we are.
At this point, you're happy that you're set up.
Yeah, but we're set up for off the line. Looks like we've got the Phoenix boat to leeward of us, a little bit more bow forward on us there, and we've got a target boat speed there, I think, of about 8.7, and we're doing 8.1s, 8.2s off the line, just trying to. Those boats, the boat to leeward is a lot closer than what it looks like in the video, so we're just trying to live off him, and I think Allegra is to leeward of him, so he's trying to hold his lane there, and it looks like Allegra is moving a little bit forward on the Phoenix. So we're just trying to find a nice little groove here. This is where the communications coming in. I'm talking to Cheese about my trim, where I'm set up. Harm's just trying to hold a lane, and Geordie's giving us information on the numbers to sail from the quantum, which is above us. So right now we're just trying to hold this lane off the starting line.
Can you remember what happened after this?
I do not remember what happened. Oh, here we are. We're attacking.
So interesting to watch the numbers drop and come back up.
Yeah.
To 6.5, 6.5,
6.6, 6.7. They're building, and we're at this time here. As you can see, I'm trimming the sail right now. In the last shot, and I'm calling the boat speed as we're trimming out, as I'm trimming up at the same time. Generally in those tags, we go in this wind range, go outboard about a degree on the jib lead for the help of the speed board, then pull the lead inboard as we get up to target at the same time as the trim up. Here we are, this is coming up to the, we've just gone around the top mark, we're on the offset now. Heavy downwind trimmers, just giving some jib ease. On this boat, I'm getting the spinnaker halyard, loading it on the winch. Hubby's got the jib sheet there now. He's easing it out. We've got a short sheet, so he's controlling the short sheet. Pepe's pulling the tackle of the chute out. I've just loaded the spinnaker halyard. I've come around to the wind side to hoist. I hoist the chute up with the grinder. Quantum there, right with us again, right in front of us, and around the mark we go. We can see the jibs out on a hobble. So the winch is free, and we're doing a Indian, basically a jibe set.
Fantastic.
Up. And so we've got right now, hubby's, he's got the sheet on the windward winch, which we trim on the leeward winch. So I hoisted the chute on the primary. So I'm doing a transfer now, transferring the sheet from the windward winch to the leeward winch. Getting that set up. Now hubby's got the sheet. I tidy up the kite sheets, and then I go straight into, after this, I talk about the modes of the other boats on how we're going downwind to hubby. So he's aware of the positioning of us. You've got Victor. He's hoisting the spinnaker staysail right now. Victor does the runner upwind, and he trims the staysail downwind. A lot of the upwind trimmers trim the staysail downwind, but on the Platoon, I do the communication with Harvey downwind on our speed and our positioning on the other boats for clear air, and also I always looking at the breeze, the potential build or drop in the breeze in case we've got to do a jib change on the run.
Luna Rossa rearing up.
The beautiful image we saw from Luna Rossa is you make if you stop the video of Emirates in New Zealand when they actually after they capsized, no?
Yes, but as the Italians do it better, for sure we have the bow more up, and I would say very, very, very nice image. Probably Carlo Borlenghi studio, but we don't know, but most probably from Carlo Borlenghi.
The rear up is actually a maneuver the AC-75 can do. It's one of the way this boat can totally lose the handling and actually go in a bad way down from the foils. What happens is the front foil is rising up while the rudder is not following with the lift. So probably there is something wrong in that moment, the flank trim. And so the front foil continues to go up and the rear foil doesn't follow. This makes the boat substantially trim up, bow up, and the more the boat is bow up, the more the front foil is with an increased angle of attack. So at a certain point they can try to go with downlift on the foil, but actually it doesn't work, so the bow continues to go up, and at a certain point the rudder has so big angle of attack that probably the flow is detached, so the rudder stalls actually, and so start to go down, so lose some lift, and this is even worse for what it happens, no?
So probably from a mix of ventilation and cavitation, no? Or we don't know. Anyway, you are losing suddenly your height, your height at the stern. So you suddenly lose completely the ground under your feet, or the sea under your feet, no, in this case.
So it's probably a mix of ventilation and mostly stall. So the flow detaches in the back part of the foil, and we also see in the photo the big wake, white wave we see in the rear part of in the stern of the boat, and this is for sure the rudder going down without giving any more lift to the boat. So the problem is actually when you find yourself in this bow up position,
it's good for a photo.
Very good
for a photo. But it's not that good in the following moments. You experience some kind of falling, and which can drive to damages or something like this. But this particular case, Luna Rossa hull is very well designed, no? Very good for this kind of impact on the water.
Exactly. You start actually going down, and the bow has to make all the way down to the sea, so it takes quite a lot of time to go down and to splash down, but the V-keel of Luna Rossa actually helps the splash of the bow in the water and doesn't make it so structurally
Yes. Looks like Luna Rossa will go down approximately vertical, so with the mast vertical. So in theory, it should end up with a long keel impacting the water first. So basically, there will be no big shock. I mean, the smallest shock possible, but still a big shock anyway.
A relatively small shock. Anyway, this is something the boat must withstand. Because it's something that can happen to any boat. We already saw two of the teams having this kind of problem, and we didn't see the other teams having this kind of problem, but probably only because they don't have Carlo Borlenghi always.
There is no way to keep up the boat on the foils when you are in a situation like this, obviously. The only one way is falling down and then jump up on the foils again. Once you have recovered yourself from the shock, you should come back on foiling, so you lose quite a bunch of time. Differently from other sports, here there is no way to recover the boat when you are at this stage.
Exactly. There is a certain limit inside the flight trim of the boat where you can correct the trim and go on easily. But in this kind of situation, you overtake the limit, you go over the limit, and from there you cannot do anything, nor to correct the position, neither to recover well from this kind of position, because you don't have any real wings to flap to try to stay up, and so the only thing you can do is fall down, attach yourself well to the boat, and just fall down and hope everything is again at his place. No.
In fact, the only one thing we saw is American Magic having a much softer impact, but the bow was just slightly up, so they managed to go down in the water but still recover quite fast. In this case, there is no way to recover. Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Ciao, ciao.